Hello, welcome to the second module of the volunteer training modules for phase 1 of volunteer training here at the Wildlife Center of the North Coast. The topic of this second module is going to be laundry. So keeping up with the laundry is actually really important here at the Wildlife Center, and it is important for a number of reasons. The first being that if laundry is being done in a timely way, it's getting washed, it's getting dried, it's getting folded and put away, or carriers, kennels, blue boxes are getting dried and put back to be used again, then as we're caring for patients and cleaning cages, setting up enclosures, we can always go to the shelves or storage areas and find the things that we need quickly and easily to be able to minimize the amount of time that patients are disturbed while we're taking care of resetting their spaces. So it's just nice to have the supplies that we need handy. The other reason that the laundry is really important is just general cleanliness. So animals, obviously, in their enclosures are eating food, producing waste, sometimes really making a mess, and taking the laundry out of there and letting it sit dirty is a really excellent way to allow any potential pathogens or contaminants or parasites to just kind of live in the clinic and potentially spread. And that's something that we don't want to have happen. So by keeping up with the laundry and making sure that it is getting moved outside and cleaned, what we are also doing is putting into place some good sort of biosecurity protocols to make sure that we're not spreading disease among patients here in the clinic, particularly when we have patients who have come in potentially with parasitic infections, viral infections, things like that. So over time, we have developed a laundry routine, and it is basically the result of just a lot of experience with doing the laundry in different ways and figuring out what works best, both in terms of efficiency and in terms of cleanliness. But I think also our laundry routine is designed in part to try to preserve the longevity of our laundry machines. So by doing some of the pre-treat and sorting the laundry into things that need to be treated first versus things that can go straight into the washers, we're ideally saving the washers from having to work really hard on some of the really dirty stuff by making it a little less dirty before it goes into the washer in the first place. The laundry routines are posted on paper on the walls in the laundry room itself. So I definitely encourage people to reference those materials as much as it might feel like we're all grown-ups and we've been doing our laundry for however long and we know how to do laundry. There are some particulars, there are some ways that we do it a little bit differently here, just because of our experience with what works well, and it's just kind of important to be up on those things. So the laundry routine. The first thing that you're going to do when you are cleaning an animal enclosure is remove anything that can be washed from the enclosure. So washable items, bedding, haul outs, dishes, any of that kind of stuff that needs to be cleaned should all come out. The things that are going to go into the washing machine can be sorted into the laundry carts that are over near the sinks at the end of the clinic main cage room, and things will get sorted into the carts based on whether or not they need to be pre-treated. So things that need to be pre-washed or pre-treated are going to be anything that is heavily soiled, and particularly anything with animal waste, bird poop on it. That stuff will definitely need to go into the pre-treat cart. If it doesn't need to be pre-treated, like if it's just a towel that was used, maybe rolled up around the side of a haul out or something like that where it's not dirty, doesn't really have anything on it, that can go straight into the washer. So usually that will go into the cart that says straight into washer. They're both labeled and ideally will be really clear which is which. So Once the carts are full, the things that need to be pre-treated, the really gross stuff, can go outside to the pre-treat station. And a big part of this routine is trying to get stuff a little bit cleaner before it goes into the washing machine, so that ideally the washers just don't have to work as hard, and also so that if there's big chunks of stuff that wouldn't necessarily even dissolve well in one cycle of the washer, we're not throwing it in there and letting it contaminate everything else. So this is just a little rundown of the pre-treat routine for bedding and like fabric things. So first what you'll do is hose and scrub each item in the pre-wash cart as much as you need to remove solids and stains. So you'll lay it flat on the table, use the sprayer nozzle on whichever setting you enjoy, and just spray things down and get all the gross chunky stuff off. There will be some things you may need to use a scrub brush, and those scrub brushes are available out there at the pre-treat station, usually on the left-hand side of the table as you're facing it. Once you have scrubbed things down and rinsed them off, you can then run them through the towel wringer to get rid of the excess water. And again, that's to kind of help preserve the life of the washing machines and also prevent them from becoming unbalanced when we're loading them up, and also just to save our backs and shoulders and things when we're moving laundry into the washing machines, because if it's all soaking wet, it's so much heavier. So once something has gone through the towel wringer, then it can be put into the black laundry wagons that are out there. And when the wagon is full, you can take it into the laundry room to put things into the washer. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Some of the non-fabric items that will also sometimes be out there needing to be cleaned are going to be things like kennels and carrier boxes. So for the transport kennels, you're going to hose them out, scrub them down as needed, make sure there's nothing still on them in terms of like bird poop or food or things like that, and then spray with Kenasol, which should be also sitting out there at the pre-treat station, and then set out to dry. Then when the kennel is dry, please return it to the carrier storage area in the garage rather than letting it sit outside. Because once something's dry and we put it away, it stays clean and dry. If we leave it outside, it can get rained on or get a bunch of leaves and grass in it and then end up needing to be cleaned again. For the blue carrier boxes, the routine is a little bit different. So for these, you'll break down the box completely by opening up both the bottom and the top. Then you can hose and scrub it inside and out and rinse everything off, make sure it's clean, and then spray with Kenasol and set out to dry the way you did with the kennels. But once it's dry, if you can take a cotton ball with rubbing alcohol, you can find that in the exam room, the rubbing alcohol, and just any writing on the exterior of the box, remove. And that's just because these boxes are often labeled with the species code for the individual animal that last used it, and it causes a lot of confusion if those labels aren't removed when a different patient is potentially going to be using the box. You'll also want to wrap the loose bottom piece that comes out of the box when you open it in a pillowcase and set it back inside the box so that the box is all ready to go for the next animal that needs to use it. A lot of times the A-side cages where we are keeping seabirds are going to also have haul outs in them, or there will be haul outs that are being used in either the sinks or the therapy pools, and those will need to be cleaned as well. So for cleaning haul outs, what you're going to do is hose and scrub them down like you would with the carriers or the kennels, but it can be really helpful to use a small amount of the Dawn dish soap that is out at the pre-treat station. And that's partially just because the material that the haul out is made of can be a little harder to clean in terms of things sticking to it or getting kind of attached to the netting. You're also going to spray these with Kenasol and let them sit, but after about 10 minutes, you'll rinse them again, and that's because they, unlike the plastic containers that we talked about on the last slide, these are made of a porous material and will also potentially be having contact with water. So we just want to make sure the Kennesaw is rinsed off before we reuse them. And then they can be set along the side of the clinic building to dry. If you look at the side of the building that is facing the large aviaries, the big flight enclosures, 7 and 8, that side of the building is where the haul outs go, and they are typically organized according to their size. All right, daisy mats. No one likes to clean these. It can be really tricky, but it's super important for these to be clean. Having the ability to use these is really great for us because they are so good for foot health for certain birds that can otherwise really struggle with keeping their feet healthy in captivity in rehab settings. And so having these clean and ready to go is really valuable for us, but it does mean that we have to wash them. And something we all complain about, but at the same time, we're grateful to have them when we need them. So what you're going to do is you are going to use the highest pressure on the hose nozzle, and you're going to spray them either you can lay them flat on the table or lay them on the ground, and you're going to spray front and then flip it over and spray the back, and you're going to then flip it over and spray the front and then the back, and do that back and forth until nothing gross comes out of the daisy mat anymore. And when it seems like it's really clean and you've gotten everything, you'll spray them down with Kennesaw and then set them out to dry. And then they can go back right now they're being stored in the B-side cages. It'll be pretty obvious where to put them. But as much as, they're difficult to clean, it is really important. And we thank you in advance for doing so. All right, so now that everything has been pre-treated and is mostly free of bird poop and fish guts and all that good stuff, you're going to take it into the laundry room, at least the fabric things. So once the black wagon is full, you've got enough for at least one load. You can wheel it on into the laundry room. I usually like to wheel it just to sort of the back door of the laundry room rather than taking it all the way in, but it's kind of up to you, whatever you feel works best. You will then put 3/4 of a cup of bleach and 1 scoop of the powdered detergent into the empty washer drum of the machine you're going to use. There should be a measuring cup on the shelf in the laundry room with the 3/4 cup marked on it to make this really easy. So you put in the bleach, you put in the detergent, and then load in the laundry. Please don't change any of the washer settings. Over time, we've kind of figured out which are the best settings in terms of efficiency and getting things clean and just sort of generally what works well. And we like to just keep them on those settings, both machines. Then you can close the lid and press the start button. And that is basically it for that. If you have, sometimes you're going to have like little things like the tiny little squares of flannel that we use for lining the baby bird nests, or you might have some, especially in like the fall and winter, some of the little kind of booty things that we put on bird feet to protect them. And what you can do with those is there should be in the laundry room mesh zipper bags, and you can put all those tiny things into the mesh zipper bags before you put them into the laundry, and that just helps them not get lost. So once things are out of the washing machine, there are 4 dryers available in theory, 2 in the laundry room and 2 in the garage. The garage ones can be kind of persnickety and sometimes don't work as well. So we've typically kind of approached them as a last resort. Like if we have just tons and tons of laundry because it's the height of the summer season and it's really busy, we might use them to try to push things through. But most of the year, just using the ones in the laundry room is going to be enough. And you'll transfer the laundry to the dryer and then check the dryer lint trap each time before you start the dryer. You'll press the on button and the start button, and again, you're not going to change any of the settings on the dryer. Once things come out of the dryer, please fold them. You can use the folding counter there in the laundry room and then return them to the shelves in the main cage room, it should be pretty obvious like where things should go. Everything is organized based on the type of material it is, if it's like sheets or if it is bath towels or washcloths. Please also check at some point during your shift to make sure that the exam room is also restocked with various sizes of towels and pillowcases. And then just a few more things. At the end of the day, we ask that there's no wet laundry sitting in the washers. Depending on the weather, if it sits overnight, it can get really gross and mildewy pretty quickly, and just does not smell as clean when it comes out of the dryer as a result. So we really like to make sure, like, if there's not time for things to get all the way through the wash and dry cycle, it's better to leave it for the next day. We also don't like to leave dryers running when the clinic building is empty, like overnight, weekends, even if for some reason the building's going to be empty for a while because rehabbers are going, to the vet for x-rays or whatever it might be. Just if there's not going to be someone here, go ahead and turn the dryer off. And again, like I just said, if there's not time to do a load of laundry from start to finish, just leave it for the next day, and that's okay. Especially if it's been pre-treated, it's easy enough the next day to get it going in the washer. So that's the laundry routine. That's probably more detail and information than anyone wanted, but I think over time we have figured out that doing the laundry routine in like a really specific way is the most efficient and effective way, and it tends to be really helpful if everybody does it the same way, and that's why we do this training. All right, thanks.